Hey guys, thanks for joining us for another episode of I Need the Nightlight. So due to some things out of our control, we've been MIA for a little while, so we'll talk a little bit about that. So, living in the boonies is the first thing, right? Middle of
First
nowhere.
thing.
So
So, yes, we have internet issues. We
a
have
lot.
power issues.
Yep.
Sometimes Ron has paying bill issues. So there's
You know,
multiple different things that kind of crops up.
Inflation. Things,
Inflation is making
rough.
life difficult to manage and difficult to live through right now. But
Accurate. Yeah. So that's
we
one thing.
we were intending to make this an every week thing, but stuff happens.
Yes.
So here we are. Welcome back. While we've been gone on this hiatus, how you been? What you been doing?
So, I just got off of a week's vacation. So I just came back to work Tuesday. Because we have the holidays. So I took a week off and my little boy was off of school. Husband actually was on his short week, so he only worked 2 days last week. So just had a lot of family time, had 2 Thanksgiving get-togethers, spent some time reconnecting with.
Are you sick of turkey yet?
Listen, I was low-key sick of turkey day 1 after the first Thanksgiving thing, because my family had this whole bright idea, like, we're gonna have 2 of them, and I was like, no. But my husband and my uncle were like 100% on board, because they were like, that's more turkey, because they love it. I was over it, but Saturday though, I went to our friend Teresa's house. And listen, I had this burger with mac and cheese and barbecue chips on it. And let me tell you, it was the highlight. And there was this buffalo chicken dip. That was the highlight of the meal I ate last week, was that day, because that buffalo chicken dip, that's like, they should call it better than sex. Buffalo chicken dip, because listen, I couldn't stop. It was so good. But that's about it for me, just family stuff, and then came back to work Tuesday. What about you?
Same thing.
Well,
way too much food, way too much turkey, way too much technical issues. But
and then
outside
stomach
of that,
virus this week.
Stomach virus. So I've lost all the weight that I gained during Thanksgiving. Thank
that's
God.
A plus. So you're not
it's
carrying
even
that.
balancing.
Yeah.
But we're also
into the
sick
new year.
of the whole traditional turkey dinner type thing. Like, normally we do the same thing again for Christmas.
Right.
So we've all opted out of that, and we're just going to do Italian, which is weird, I think, for Christmas. But I'm here for it.
No, yeah, make new traditions. Like me and Barbie, who is one of my friends in Florida. So we were talking about Christmas, and they have Chinese.
Oh, I'd be down
and I was
for
like,
that.
oh, that would be awesome. Like, yeah, I would be 100% down with that, because it's too close together to have that much of the same stuff. So
you keep talking about that garlic Parmesan chicken pasta. You keep blasting all of us with a screenshot of that. I'm making that for Christmas dinner at my mom's.
Oh, that's smart.
And my cousin's doing homemade lasagna, and we're doing
my
homemade
cat's
pizzas.
On the gecko cage.
As long as you don't eat the geckos, it's fine, right? Does she try to eat the geckos?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, he knocked the whole cage down, and the gecko ran away. Hang on, let me go get him off of said cage.
You are good. And we were just talking about technical difficulties. It's even that much better.
Yeah,
that's fine.
There's Satan.
Church.
Listen, well, his name's Saint, but I might have misnamed that, because
oh Lord,
he's definitely not a saint. But he likes one of my geckos because she's really bright colored, and so he likes to watch her.
Sitting there trying to bat at it.
She's also the most mobile of the 3 I have up here, so he right on top of it. He loves my skink too, but my skink's almost the size of him, so
yeah,
I don't worry about that as much.
Yeah, I wouldn't mess around anything the same size as me. While we were out, watch anything good? Anything kind of creep up?
So a couple things. I did some rewatches, right? But some of the new stuff, I started the Fall of the House of Usher.
Sweet.
Yeah, and I was really excited about it because a lot of people have been talking about it, but you also know how I am about shows that are fresh right now.
Oh yeah.
I don't usually like to do that, but this one really called to me in the whole I'm a Poe fan, and that whole the whole vibe of it was really calling to me. And I think I'm in episode 3, because life happens, but I really like it so far. There's a lot of a lot of things happening and a lot of like flashbacks to, past and then present. But I really like it so far, and I'm interested to see kind of how it goes, and how it ends. And I loved Haunting of Hill House and that stuff. So
see, I've still not seen The Haunting of Hill House, so I feel
listen,
like I need
really
to go into
liked
that
it.
first before going into this.
Well,
I've not always trusted Netflix horror.
Yeah.
Maybe I should.
I get
I
that.
was just kind of wishy-washy on it, but I mean, everything I'm hearing coming from this creator is phenomenal.
Yeah, like I loved both Hill House and The Bly Manor. I really liked both of those a lot. They have that really good, like, there's, I think, variety. Like, there's like some gory stuff and some spooky stuff and that like kind of visceral fear and just some really good, I think, storylines and things with it. So I mean, I 10 out of 10 recommend watching them at least to see if
you're
you
talking
like
about storylines.
Yeah.
I don't know how in the world I've missed this as long as I have.
Listen, yeah.
Like, Oh Gods of Appalachia, for anybody that's listening to this. Like, if you're into podcasts, if you're into storytelling,
and
please
like folklore,
check this out. Oh my God, the folklore. Which it doesn't hurt that we live right in the heart of the Appalachian Mountains.
I told you about the terror of taking my trash out after listening to one of these episodes because, like, it's like all super close to where we live in Kentucky. And, like, I legit am sprinting up my driveway because we didn't have our nice little lights out yet. Like, and I was terrified. I was like, this thing's going to pop up over this hill, and I don't want to be in the Barlow mines or
I am so upset that I didn't know this existed. Like, our local game hobby shop, shout out Brian Marcus, posted, this big, huge Oh Gods of Appalachia RPG, which kind of looks and feels like Dungeons and Dragons. And I was like, this looks cool. What in the world is this? And
is that what made you listen?
That's what made me find it. I didn't even know it existed. I had no idea it existed. So I saw the title and I Googled it very quickly. I'm like, this is based off of a freaking podcast.
Yeah, I'm glad you listened when we talked about this because, I told you about this podcast.
You did. You told me about this a long time ago, and I failed, and I'm a miserable human being. But
didn't listen to me.
Well, but at that point in time, I did not have the free time or anything. And that's the thing. That's a really crappy excuse because each one of these episodes are incredibly consumable. They are. If you cut out the ads beginning and end, it's probably like 17, 18 minutes tops.
And you don't really realize the length either because, like, you're so, like,
you're so entrenched.
The narrator, and this how he tells the story, you don't even realize that you've been listening. So it's really good. But I think, like, I listen to podcasts all the time. Like, I don't know if I listen to more podcasts than you, but, like, I listen a ridiculous amount.
All my podcasting sports and fantasy football related. So
mine's like murderers. I'm serial killers is what I'm listening to, or I'm listening to audiobooks. But listen, I'm going to jump back into it because I had stopped, and I actually know someone who is in some of the newer episodes, which will be cool. So I'm excited to kind of hear his spot in it as well. But I'm going to jump back in. But we highly recommend it if you've not listened to it and you like
for anybody watching right now.
Yeah.
So this is an anthology series. I'm not going to say that I'm any type of expert on Eldritch based horror, Lovecraftian horror, but I mean, without getting too much into it, because I don't want to give up any of anything on it. I want it to be a first time experience for anybody. But like I said, I'm just 2 episodes in. But if you're in any way familiar with like coal mines or like just basically that era of the early 1900s and things like that really heavily impacted this region. Like I explained it to my wife. She's like, nope, I'm out. And I was just explaining what's happened in the first episode.
Yeah,
like I was listening to the third episode. No, I was listening to the third episode, taking my kid to wrestling practice tonight. And on the way there, he's like, Dad, this is creepy as hell. Like, what is this? I'm like, it's awesome. Like I'm 3 episodes in and I didn't even intend to be today. So
yeah, that the storytelling's great, but it's also that like I love that it's like got that folklore, like because we live in the Appalachian Mountains and there's so much lore and things like that. So I absolutely love how they translated that into this.
Oh yeah,
it's 10 out of 10. Absolutely,
I got some buddies
though.
that go do ghost hunts and stuff like that through the mountains and stuff all the time. And
I don't know.
I wanted to say they do a
risky
podcast
business
based off of that as well. So, like, I'd really like to talk to them about some of this stuff, and maybe we can get them on here at some time to kind of cross reference. But
for sure,
I love it.
What did you watch? Did you watch anything? You done any homework?
This movie, I freaking loved it. Okay.
So is that the girl that was in Sabrina?
I am
The
not
teenage
sure.
witch?
It's a good question.
Listen, also, I liked Sabrina. I didn't like the ending, but I liked all of it until the ending. I swear I think that's her though. Sorry, off topic, but I really like her.
This was too good not to hit theaters. This did not hit
really?
theaters.
Okay.
No.
Oh,
So
it's an
this was
Amazon original. Okay.
It's an Amazon original made by the same studio that made that new crappy Exorcist movie that you hated.
So and this is better? Well, we talked a little bit about this earlier.
It's phenomenal. Like Rotten Tomatoes, everybody's kind of lauding this movie. That it's, I don't know. It's basically, for anyone wanting to go into it, watch it, don't expect this to be just a tried and true slasher film. It's not. This is horror comedy at its finest. Really kind of satirical. Back to the Future and Scream have a baby. That's what this movie is, essentially. There's a lot of scenes, like obviously the Back to the Future scenes is a lot of the funny parts of it. There's I feel like enough gore and enough jump scares and things like that to keep the horror savant happy.
Right.
But it was just fun. Like this movie was so much fun, like more fun than it should have been.
Hey, it's the whole point, right? We talked about when we started the podcast, though, like, and was the whole point of this is we wanted to get back to that enjoyable, you know, and making it relatable for everybody of horror. So this sounds like it fits really well into that category.
I'm just happy to be watching movies again.
Right.
Like,
I'm
for
proud
the
of
longest time, I've not had time to watch movies, like even off the horror, like beaten path. Like
just in general.
We were talking about, like I watched Arrival for the first time the other night. Like, I've never seen a Denis Villeneuve movie. Like I've not seen Dune or anything like that yet.
You've not seen Dune?
I've not seen Dune yet. I hadn't had time to watch it. He also made this movie called Prisoners. It's got Jake Gyllenhaal and Hugh Jackman in it. Looks phenomenal. I'm going to go back and check that out. Like, one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time is Blade Runner. He's the guy that made the sequel, like years later, Blade Runner 2049.
So, I don't know that I saw the sequel, but I did see the first one.
The first one's what got me into sci-fi and horror when I was younger. Love that movie. Love that movie. But I mean, that's really kind of what I got into, was really just totally killer. Just trying to pick up things that's streaming right now without having to go out and buy anything. There's so many options,
though. Like, that's something that I run into is, like, I'm one of these people that, like, I have to be in the mood for, like, certain things, which is, I think, why I jump around in the horror genre so much. Like, because, you know, sometimes I want that campy, satirical comedy horror, and then sometimes I want, like, to really feel horror down to my bones, and then you know, sometimes I want some just slasher, blood and gore, but then sometimes it's overwhelming almost to look at everything that's out there.
I call it paralysis by analysis. I'll be like looking through stuff. Me and my wife do it all the time. We'll have the remote control and we're going back and forth, and it's like, all right, let's pick a movie to watch tonight. And an hour and a half later, we don't watch anything.
Still don't have a movie.
We went through 4 different streaming services. We went through everything we can trying to find something to watch, and we just gave up.
And you can't agree either, too, because you have that whole thing. Like me and my husband do that all the time, too. Because he's like, oh, well, what do you think about this? And I'm like, no, what do you think about this? And he's like, no. And I'm like, we might as well just give up, because, like, we're not gonna pick anything. So just pick something random. We talked about in the previous
episode when it's like, hey, we're going to add a list of stuff to watch. This is how things don't get watched.
Yeah.
So
having a list is good, though, because it helps with that. Because then you have just like these actionable things. Although I don't think I've watched anything on the list. I did start It Follows. I watched the whole first like 5 minutes.
How you feeling about it so far?
It's not that I like wasn't into it. Like I just honestly was doing something and got distracted and was watching it on my iPad, and I closed my iPad.
That's a big thing. It's getting distracted too.
Yeah, like I didn't even get to really get into it. So, but I did start that one. That was on my list. But that's, I think, the only one on my list that I've watched. But I've watched a couple things over the past few weeks. Like, you know, The Nun 2 and some things like that. But nothing on my list. So I need to do better about my list.
So here's what actually worked out great. So, we're talking about technical difficulties. When I say technical difficulties, I'm going to own it. I didn't pay my internet bill. They shut my internet off.
You know.
So Life happens. I forgot to pay the daggone thing. They shut it off. But you know what it did? And it was phenomenal.
Gave you time to do other
Nobody
things?
in our house had these right in front of our face going to town. So, like, I broke out the Blu-ray collection. All of a sudden, all my kids wanted to go watch the Scream movies again. I had, like, Scream 1 through 4 set up. We've made it 1 through 3, and then, naturally, we got our internet back, and we abandoned the plan to keep going. But really, I actually can think of no better segue to kind of get into our first major topic of the day.
Dun, dun, dun.
Scream! If you follow movies or anything, horror movies, not even just horror movies, just theater in general, you've probably seen a lot of the stuff going on over the last week. It's a mess. I'm not going to get into a whole lot of it because, God, there's a lot of politics involved in it, and I do not want to walk
Politic-free zone here.
We are not going down that path. We are just talking about what has happened to our beloved Scream 7. But basically, to give everyone a rundown, there were some comments made about Israel, Hamas, Gaza, Palestine, all of that good stuff. We're not going to dig into it, but kind of unceremoniously, Melissa Barrera, who plays Sam Carpenter in Scream 5 and 6, was removed from the project. The studio removed her outright. Now, there's quite a bit of an uprising in Hollywood. Everyone's kind of pissed about it, so
what does that mean for that movie?
For 7, got flustered, and then immediately,
literally, immediately,
the next day, all of a sudden, Jenna Ortega has a scheduling conflict.
Yeah, scheduling conflict. Listen, but low-key, I'm a huge Wednesday fan, so girl, you go get that Wednesday. You leave Scream 7. It's enough.
I think
Wednesday.
Both could have been done, but let's be honest, she's probably backing her co-star, which
girl power,
you do what you feel like you need to do. You do what you feel like is right in this situation. But naturally, now that both have dropped out, the whole entire script is getting scrapped.
Yeah.
According to a lot of media buzz out there, they're going to try to scrap the entire thing. They're looking at bringing back our beloved Neve Campbell, Sidney Prescott, Patrick Dempsey. For anyone that's familiar, he was Detective Mark Kincaid in Scream 3.
McDreamy, baby. That makes me want to watch Scream 3, just so you know. Just because he's in it, because I didn't realize that until this. So I'm going to watch it. I know, you don't like it.
It's my least favorite of the whole entire... It's my least favorite entry in the entire series. Right. But I understand why some people may like it. I'm a huge fan of Kevin Williamson, the writer of 1, 2, and 4.
Yeah.
I was even sketchy about 5 and 6. 5, I was not huge on. 6, they kind of won me back. I love.
Yeah, I remember you talking about liking 6.
Being back and things like that. So, if you want to bring Neve and Patrick back,
But do you think she'll come back?
No, I don't.
I don't think so either.
Well, I mean, she was absent from 6 because of that money.
Yeah.
They did not want to pay her. The same studio that was kind of lowballing her. And Neve has always been pretty much about the business from everything that I've ever seen. She's going to support fellow actors and actresses. So if they feel like there was wrongdoing, which it appears a lot of actors and actresses in this scenario do.
We are neutral.
We are staying neutral.
Switzerland, yo.
But I feel like Neve will back Jenna and Melissa Barrera. I could be surprised, but I feel like there will be a no-go.
And I wonder too, the controversy with it too, because because of anytime I feel like something like this happens, there's then just controversy around the film. And a lot of times actors and actresses don't want to necessarily tie to that with the controversy that might potentially follow it. And also having to flip a whole script, that's scary. Yeah. So you don't know what that's going to look like
I was already nervous because, God, what was the name of that studio? Radio Silence, I think is the name of the guys that made 5 and 6. They were already stepping away. They were not going to direct. They were just going to take a producing role. I think they're working on some type of big monster flick right now, which I'm excited about.
Ooh,
I really like
monsters.
Those guys. I like the work that they're doing. But you had just started to win me over for my love for what you were doing with this franchise. I feel like the franchise had been reinvigorated. I felt like we were going down a good path. And now, not so much. I think, me personally, the true north for this now at this point is the studio's just going to have to sell the whole IP.
Yeah.
The whole intellectual property is just going to be shipped somewhere else. And then I would imagine if someone does buy it for whatever penny that may be, you can then revisit, bring back Barrera, Ortega, or things like
Right.
that. But then at what point is the script come with it?
Yeah.
Do they abandon the script and go something new? Do we get Matthew Lillard back at some point? Please.
Fingers crossed.
I don't know.
I'd be here for that.
But this is a hornet's nest. Like,
yeah, it's yeah. I don't know. I think it's going to be a hard recovery for it. I mean, with those pieces, and I mean, honestly, like, I think it's either going to have to be a wash
dead.
or they're going to have to move it out.
It's dead. It is
Agreed.
completely dead, and it breaks my heart. But I digress. This is where we're at now. So I don't know. I know I'm just sitting here stammering and there's dead air, but I'm
like,
so
you're so
flustered
anxious
by
about
this.
it. Like,
I'm so aggravated. I'm so aggravated because I mean this is going to be a Scream movie that, for all appearances, look like it's going to be set during Christmas.
Yeah, you were
I
excited.
loved being out of Woodsboro, like being in New York. I thought was fantastic. I'm like sitting over here like waving my hands frantically. If someone could see me right now, if you tied my hands behind my back, I probably couldn't talk. But it's just, I don't know. It's just flustered me. But,
yeah, I'm sure a lot of people feel that way. I mean, there's been a lot of responses, the political pieces notwithstanding, just from like the community that's huge Scream fans, right? Like, so I think a lot of people probably share what you're feeling. So at least you're not alone. I don't have a huge opinion because I've only watched 1 and 2. So I think I need to, they're definitely on my list to watch 3 through 6. Get caught up and
one thing that I'm really wanting to do, and just kind of slightly like moving away from this topic for just a moment, because someone just messaged me about it and they kind of brought it top of mind. I really need at some point in the next week or two to get to the movie theater to see Thanksgiving.
Listen, so
I need to go see this movie.
It's been on ads for some things I've been watching, and I'm intrigued. I don't like the thought of it. Is there any Thanksgiving horror movies out there?
Not that I can think of.
Because I couldn't think of any, and I was like, this is really interesting.
Are you familiar with Eli Roth?
I mean,
have you seen
Ryan,
any of his stuff?
You know that I don't know people's names, so you might as well name some movies. Yes, I did watch Hostel.
Cabin Fever.
Yes.
Green Inferno.
Look, I have seen 2 of the 3 movies you mentioned.
I'm proud
of myself.
Did you enjoy them?
Yeah, I mean, like, let's be real honest, Cabin Fever and Hostel are like hella old. I really enjoyed them when I watched them.
Hostel still triggers me with that Achilles tendon.
The Achilles tendon. Yeah. It didn't bother me, but like my triggers are almost non-existent. I did like them when I watched them though. So like intriguing.
The guy that made them is the guy that's made Thanksgiving.
It's got a creepy vibe, but I'm like low key worried that it's gonna be like they put the best parts in the trailer.
I've heard nothing but good stuff.
Oh, really? I hadn't seen any like reviews or like heard anybody talking about it. So that's
All
interesting.
my favorite content creators on TikTok are like pretty much kind of gushing about it, which kind of really surprised me.
Interesting.
And I saw there was another one that got spoiled. Let me pull this real quick. That way I'm not completely lying through my teeth.
Ryan goes to Google.
I've
not heard about that reference.
One. People Under the Stairs. It's an old movie. It is getting remade.
Oh, okay.
God, what is his name? I'm failing right now. We're using resources, people.
Google's our best friend. Me and Ryan both are like incredibly guilty of Googling everything. Except Ryan is not allowed to be on WebMD.
No, I get my hypochondria kicks in. Jordan Peele from like Key and Peele. Jordan Peele is the guy making that. He's a phenomenal horror director.
You gonna give me some examples of what he's done? Because
my
Lord. I don't know names.
Get Out. Have you seen Get Out?
No, I haven't.
What?
No, I haven't. Like,
hold on. There's 2 big ones.
And I say, surely he's done like more than that.
Dropping the ball miserably right now. No, it's 2 big horror movies. One of them's Get Out. He does
I've heard of it.
racially charged movies, very racially charged. But that one looks phenomenal from what I've seen so far preliminarily on it. So I'm excited about that. Moving forward into our final topic of the evening.
Speaking of
all of
great
this talk,
things.
all of this talk about Scream and Barrera stepping away, Jenna Ortega stepping away, it really got us thinking about, we've kind of had a renaissance for Scream Queens.
Mm-hmm.
A lot, if you look at people that really want to kind of go through like their Mount Rushmore of Scream Queens, you always look at people kind of tending to go back to the 1970s, 1980s.
Yeah.
90s probably are usually the end cap on that. We kind of wanted to see if we could challenge ourselves to come up with our own Mount Rushmore, which we basically went through and decided we're going to each take two. But there was one caveat. We're just going to go ahead and say that Jamie Lee Curtis is the whole mountain.
She is Everest.
Because we didn't want to fight about Jamie Lee. So we're just going to say, you're the mountain.
Yeah.
Now we're going to pick the 4 faces on the mountain that we enjoy the most.
Yeah.
So after discussing this, I think it's a pretty good segue from the Scream 7 news. We're going to start with Lakrisha first. Your girl, Miss Ortega.
Listen, so I absolutely love her. One, like, I just think she's like the prettiest thing ever. Like, I don't know, she's super pretty.
Stick her in your back pocket. Take her everywhere with you.
But she's got this like hauntingly creepy beauty that she does really well. So like, honestly, the first thing I really watched with her in it was Wednesday. Well, I had seen like other things where she had smaller roles because she actually is in Insidious Chapter 2. She has a really small role in it, but like she was like a little baby in that. But like I don't think Wednesday could have been cast better.
No.
With her. She just like, there's something about her that like is perfect for horror.
She is like this generation's Winona Ryder.
Yes. Winona Ryder was,
and I don't know what it is about that.
Yeah, Wednesday with her.
See, I don't know. And I mean, they're going to be in Beetlejuice together as well.
Listen, I'm so excited about that. Like, I almost peed my pants when I saw that because I'm a huge Beetlejuice fan. Like, I watch it when I flew to Canada. That's what I watched on the airplane was Beetlejuice. Like, I love it. It's so great. So when I saw that first, I was like, this is not real. Because, people like to just torture my heart with things like that. But I'm so excited about it because she's going to be phenomenal. It's going to be great.
She's phenomenal in X. Like, X is a great movie. You'll love X.
I think I will.
Scream 5 and 6 definitely carries her weight in those. More so, I like her as she plays more the victim, I guess you could say, in Scream 5, Scream 6. She kind of starts embodying a little bit more badass, but I definitely love Jenna Ortega. So I can't fault you for this one at all. I can't fault you here. So mine,
moving on,
maybe questionable. A lot of people will be like, well, she's really only been in one thing, but the one thing she's been in has had like 6 or 7 iterations it's released on it. I love me some Sarah Paulson.
Yeah. I mean, I think she's become such honestly, kind of like everyone, she's on everybody's list now, I feel like, because of American Horror Story. Like,
yeah.
And I feel like she's super versatile though, like in American Horror Story. Like she does bad
Apocalypse,
well.
she plays 3-4 different roles in Apocalypse.
Yep.
Because she plays Billy, which is the medium from Murder House in Apocalypse. She plays the Supreme. I can't remember her name as the Supreme. From Coven.
Yeah.
But
I love Coven.
She plays that. She plays the desk clerk for the freaking people that are making I call it the fembot, essentially. Before her, she's going to come back and kill everybody on Telemanor, Austin Powers, and fembot. But for me, like, every single role that she took on in American Horror Story, I'm not the biggest Asylum fan. But for Murder House, I like Asylum okay, but it's not my favorite.
Do you know I didn't finish the Murder House season? It's my least favorite season of American Horror Story.
That's not really that hot of a take. I know a lot of people that don't like Murder House.
Because I started it. Now, like, and I loved Freak Show.
Freak Show's one of my favorites.
I loved it. But, like, she is just, like, I feel like you give her a role and she's going to slam dunk it. Like,
Coven's phenomenal.
Yeah, listen.
You can't beat Coven.
Huge Coven fan.
So, moving on to the next one, and this one, if you know Lakrisha at all, which some of you may not, This comes as no surprise.
Yeah, I mean so she's my Mount Everest of everything. You know, like I think, you know, because, you know, she's Buffy, which, you know, is, you know, you got all the monsters.
That's all that matters
and
for you.
Listen,
That's all that
I
matters
love
for you
it,
is
but
Buffy.
listen, I loved her in I Know What You Did Last Summer. She's in she's got a new show called Wolfpack, and you know how I feel about my Wolfies. So she's in that, and she's just like, I think she's just a great actress. I mean, in general, but like, she made such an impression on me with Buffy that like now basically if she's in it, I'm going to love it. She could literally go like, I don't know, pee on the side of the road and I would think it was great. I don't know. Like, she just
That's the weirdest analogy I've ever heard in my life.
She just like, I'm amazed by her. And like, I think
that's great.
Buffy was just like every little girl's dream. Like, you know, instead of the blonde girl getting chased by the monster, she was chasing them and they were scared of her. And, you know, I think everything I've seen her in, she's done a great job in. I mean, she was in, what was that movie called? The creepy girl.
It's 100% not horror per se, but God, you can't go wrong with her in Scooby-Doo.
I mean, listen.
I mean,
yeah. Why can't I think of the name of that movie? Wait, I might have Googled it. Hold on.
Fired up.
The Grudge.
She probably has. Oh, okay. She probably has the most unceremonious kill in Scream history. Like people want her kill cut from the movie. They're like, you could have used Sarah Michelle Gellar so much better.
Yeah, listen. Agreed. But I love her. Like, you know, she's
I think it's
my
part
queen.
of the reason she ended up getting in. I don't remember which one filmed first. I Know What You Did Last Summer or Scream 2, but both written by Kevin Williamson.
Oh, really?
The same exact guy. Yeah, he wrote both. He ended up going on to write
They were both in 97.
So
she was in Cruel Intentions too, though. So like Cruel Intentions.
God, Cruel Intentions is so good. I'd say there's probably some crossover then, and Kevin Williamson saw something he liked, worked with Craven on it, whichever route that went. But then also around that same time, he also did The Faculty. I don't know if you've ever seen The Faculty.
Nope.
Josh Hartnett, basically.
I've heard of it, but I've not seen it.
It's like an Invasion of the Body Snatchers type vibe. So you have that. And then after all of this, he goes and does Dawson's Creek.
Do you know, I could never get into Dawson's Creek. I tried, man.
But I mean, how do you go from Scream to I Know What You Did Last Summer to The Faculty to Dawson's Creek?
Well, maybe he got inspired by working with Sarah Michelle Gellar because she's so awesome, and it just opened up that romantic heart and went with Dawson's Creek. I don't know. I never watched Dawson's Creek, so
get paid.
I mean,
get paid.
We've talked about how I would sell out for money, so.
Well, yeah, that TV show ran for like 900 years too. So I mean,
yeah, I never made it through the first season.
So, how many tattoos do you have that reference Buffy or Angel?
1, 2, 3, 4. I think 4.
And people, that's why I'm saying if you don't know her, yes, she is a Sarah Michelle Gellar fan.
Some of them you wouldn't. I guess only one of them you wouldn't know is Buffy, because like my chest piece is a quote from Buffy, but the other two are blatantly Buffy. Although people think one of them is the Lost Boys, which I'm not mad at because like I love the Lost Boys, but it's 100% Spike.
Which one is it that they confuse? Oh, it's Spike.
It's my portrait of Spike.
Yep.
They assume
I can see
they
that.
see blonde leather jacket. I can see
that.
They see.
And then you got one of David Boreanaz as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's wicked. Yeah. Listen, y'all, she's got her receipts for this one. She's got them.
I'm obsessed, man. All right. So what's your second?
Second, final, fourth member, and
rounding it out.
Like this is yours. Come on, this is mine.
I mean, you can't argue with that.
This whole episode's been about Scream. Okay.
Listen.
I literally talked about a movie that is a crossover between Scream and Back to the Future. Then we talked about Scream News, and then we started this Mountain Rushmore with Jenna, who's in Scream. We had Sarah Michelle Gellar, who's in Scream, and then we're going to finish.
I didn't even think about that. The 3 of the 4
because it's all that matters.
Scream.
Scream's all that matters.
It's a whole like lifestyle almost at this point.
It's a cult.
Like it is.
It's a cult.
It's a bit of a cult. So
it is a cult, but
it's what we're combating. But you know. We're an accepting cult over here on I Need the Nightlight. So
I actually watched some of Party of Five when she was on Party of Five. And when I didn't know anything about Scream when it was coming out, but I saw that she was going to be in the movie. And I was like, I like her. Like, she's a good actress and stuff like that.
She's pretty,
Courtney Cox, Courtney Cox could probably at some point be, in some version.
I just keep thinking about her terrible bangs. And
that's Scream 3.
It's the bangs.
See, that's why I keep telling y'all,
bad.
Scream 3's awful. But that's what I keep coming back to. But, meh.
I mean, can't argue. Nobody can argue this one, I don't think, either. Like,
no.
You can't. I mean, you just can't.
I feel like, and I've seen a lot of people say this too, I feel like the slasher genre was dead.
Yeah.
At this point, they were on like the 8th iteration of, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, et cetera, et cetera. Everything was just been recycled, redone. People kind of lost faith in it. You had Silence of the Lambs that came out in the 90s, and people, to me, is a horror movie, but people didn't want it to be considered a horror movie because they thought the genre was dead. Excuse me. So
she started it all.
This interjected life back into everything.
Yeah.
Jamie Kennedy playing Randy, her playing Sydney. You got
it was a
Dewey,
great casting.
You got Gail. Like, the whole entire ensemble of this movie is phenomenal. But Neve carried on.
She did.
And I would even argue, like, I like Sydney in the first movie. Sydney does not really take off as a character for me until Scream 2. Like, she's okay in Scream 1. Scream 2, she's phenomenal. When she's at Windsor College and going through all the Windsor College murders and stuff like that. I hate that we lose Randy there. I mean, that hurts. Like, losing Jamie Kennedy's character there hurt a ton. But I think if they could go back, they probably would have changed the script and not killed him. I really do think that.
Like, it's funny because you're talking about, like, how she comes into the second Scream. And do you know, like, what's funny is I've probably only seen the second Scream a few times. But I literally rewatch the first one at least 5 or 6 times a year. Like,
oh yeah,
because I love it so much. It makes me really want to rewatch the second one. Because
a lot of people like the second one better than they like the first one.
I remember liking it, but like this one really overshadows it for me. Not because I don't think that it was like so much better, but like it's just the one that I always go to. Like, it's just my go-to Scream movie, and it's like one of my comfort films that we talked about.
It's a comfort movie.
Yeah,
it's comfort fun.
I'll have
There's
to.
nothing wrong with that.
Refresh on that for sure.
Like, and that up until like 3 years ago, my wife had never seen any of these movies, and I don't remember what it was.
Bringing her into the cult.
Oh, I mean, we've watched every one of them. I think we've seen.
Maybe you didn't pay your internet on purpose so that you could get into the Scream like rabbit hole.
My kids love. My 4-year-old loves it. She's like, I want to watch the ghosty face.
Yeah.
So we'll fire it up, and she loves it. She's already loving horror movies. My wife has like a sweatshirt. It's got all the different horror villains on it, all the killers, and she will go through and she recites each one to make sure she has them right. The cutest one's when she says Samara from The Ring. She's like, "It's Samara."
She's so funny.
She loves it.
Your daughter, not Samara.
No. But I mean, I love Neve Campbell.
Yeah, I mean,
and that's the funny thing about it is there's not a whole lot of other movies that I've watched that I'm like, I love Neve in.
She's just impactful.
Wild Things was good. Wild Things was okay.
I didn't watch it.
But I can't remember anything else other than Scream that I kind of go back to. Scream 1, phenomenal. Scream 2, love it equally. I think they done it perfectly. It was the perfect way to do a sequel very quickly. Scream 3, I wish I could like completely retcon it from the saga.
We're not going to be negative about it. No judgment.
I'm not judging people's love for movies. This is my personal love-hate, and I hate the movie. But it's just, I feel like it deviates away from everything.
Let's not spiral on Scream 3.
Oh, but Scream 4 comes back to Woodsboro,
there you go.
Which I was happy with. Scream 5, she's very sparingly used, but I feel like she has some impact. I mean, you have the line, I'm Sidney Prescott. Of course, I have an effing gun. Like,
yeah.
Get that tattoo on my forehead. But then Scream 6, no Neve. So, if she comes back, I hope it comes back on her own terms, her own accord, and there's not some type of studio buzz, studio pressure.
I want her to get a good story, too, like if she's coming back. You know, like...
Well, that's the thing that we kind of keep talking about. And spoiler alert abound, but... In Scream 5 and 6, Sam is Billy's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's weird. Like her and Sam have some interactions. Like you can tell that Sam kind of, or that Nev kind of knows, Sydney knows that's going on. Then she's like vacant from the 6th movie. You know, I keep hearing a lot of rumors that people keep begging for and wishing for, Stu to come back.
Listen,
for Matthew Lillard to make a reappearance.
If we did a Mount Rushmore of anything, I'd put Matthew Lillard.
Scream Kings.
Let's be honest. It don't even have to be a Scream King. Like, he's on my list for just about everything. But like,
my wife
13
loves Matthew
Ghosts.
Lillard. He was actually good in Five Nights at Freddy's.
Listen, so I want to watch it.
He's not in it a whole lot, but he's pretty solid in it.
If I didn't really care to watch it until I realized he was in it, and I was like, sign me up, because
it's very small, minimal roles, but he
don't matter. He's there.
He does a good job with the time he's on the screen. It. I keep coming back. Like, we'll close with this, but this is my pie in the sky. This is what I would like to see happen, and then just end the whole thing, right? Just end it. Stu has lived somehow through all of this, and he's orchestrating and trying to find a way to get inside of Sam's head because she's Billy's daughter, and Billy was his boy.
Interesting.
I really want Sam to turn evil.
Ooh,
and start killing everybody.
I'd watch that.
And leave it up to Nev or Ortega to kill her own sister. Or for Nev to kill her and put an end to it. And then just end the franchise.
I think that'd
kill
be
Lillard, do whatever you want to at that point. I think at that point, instead of just a TV falling on his head, I know a lot of people's been like, oh, man, that's stupid, that's trash. But I feel like it's going to, like, Sam Carpenter's character has got a little knife happy. And I feel like at some point she was bending towards that breaking mentality. And I would love to see that, but I don't know if that will happen.
I mean, I would vibe with that storyline.
I think it'd be interesting. So, in close, that is our Scream Queens. Would love to hear if you agree, disagree, if you have somebody that you feel like is higher potential that should be up on top of that mountaintop. I know not everyone's going to agree, but I would love to see some recommendations that you feel like should meet that criteria. And let us know what you think about Scream 7. Where you think it's going. Where do you think it should end up? Do you think they should scrap it? Should they sell it? Should they get Nev? You want McDreamy. Does everyone else want McDreamy?
Just because I like to look at him. I don't know what he did in any of the movies, but I like looking at him, so.
But also, moving into the holiday spirit as we move into December, I've never seen, so this is my go-to. This is what I'm going to look forward to over the next couple of weeks. I've never seen Black Christmas, and I've never seen Krampus.
I have seen Krampus. Did you say Krampus?
That's on my list. Krampus.
I think it's Krampus. Anybody else know the correct pronunciation?
It's German. I think that would be Krampus. We'll figure that out.
I mean, I go to the league and Taco always called it Krampus. So.
Krampus sounds like something you get after playing 3 games of basketball at the age of 40.
It might be. I'm not. I have watched it. Well, at least part of it. I don't think I finished it because Aries got freaked out. But I haven't watched the other one. So.
Yeah, it's just a movie where this big, overgrown, freaking creature steals kids.
But what kind of creature?
I don't know. What he is. He's got hooves.
That made me think of Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
So now you got to go watch Krampus too. So definitely, if you got any kind of holiday recommendations or anything like that, drop it in the comments. Let us know what we should be watching over the next couple of weeks. I'm like you. I'm going to try to get caught up on Follow the House of Usher, and I'm going to continue down the path of Oh Gods of Appalachia.
Sounds like a plan.
So if anyone's into that, let us know. What do you think about those? Thank you for spending time with us.
And remember to leave the nightlight on.
Y'all be good.